I call the honourable member for Kooyong, the Parliamentary Secretary to the Prime Minister.
Thank you, Mr Acting Deputy Speaker. It's my great privilege to stand up and rebut this MPI, Mr Deputy Speaker, because the member for Rankin should know better. The member for Rankin, who has a PhD, just like the member for Fraser, because the member for Rankin and the member for Fraser should know that the future of the higher education sector in this country relies on deregulation. It relies on excellence. It relies on quality. It relies on choice. It relies on choice. And I am very proud to be a member of a government that has produced an important budget which will pay back Labor's debt, nearly $300 billion over the next 10 years, and will put in place measures which will encourage growth, encourage job creation and boost productivity. And central to that thesis is our higher education reforms, the greatest reforms in 30 years. We are the party of Menzies, and Menzies gave us the Murray Committee and the Wills Committee and an expansion in the university sector. And this is the next stage in strengthening our higher education sector. And you opposite have no ideas, no alternatives and no policies. The member for Maribyrnong gets up here in his budget reply speech full of cliches, but no policies, no alternatives, no hope for the higher education sector. Now, Mr Deputy Speaker, the measures in this budget as they relate to higher education are a great leap forward for the sector. A great leap forward for the sector. What do? For the first time, they put significant government support in favour of students who are undertaking diplomas, students who are undertaking pre-bachelor degrees. For the first time, they will receive significant support, and up to 80,000 students will for the first time get their opportunity as a courtesy, as a result of the federal government giving them their support. We are saying to apprentices will be able to access government loans in the same way that tertiary students can, because the taxpayer shouldn't just support those people who go to university, it should also support those people who undertake apprentices. And what is more, in these reforms, $1 in $5 that is taken by the universities as a result of this deregulation in fees will go towards Commonwealth scholarships. Commonwealth scholarships to help those on from lower socioeconomic backgrounds and from the regions. The very people that you are now turning your back on by denying us the support for these higher education reforms. And those opposite are standing in the way of a commitment by this government to increase the funding for higher education. $900 million additional Commonwealth funding will go to higher education and research over the next 4 years. $900 million of additional funding. And how much for schools? An extra $3.5 billion in additional funding will go to schools as a result of this budget. This is an education budget, Mr Deputy Speaker. This is a budget for the future of Australia and Australians, because we are investing in higher education, in research, to the tune of more than $900 million in additional money over the next 4 years, and $3.5 billion of additional money to schools, money that would have never flowed if you had been successful last year in the election. Not to mention the $20 billion investment in the Medical Research Future Fund, the biggest investment of its kind anywhere in the world. That is going to be our legacy, Mr Deputy Speaker. That is what those opposite are in denial about. And when we see those students rioting about these changes, you could be forgiven for thinking that they were paying for their university education up front. But no, they're not. No, they're not. You know why? Because you do not pay $1 back on your university funding until your income is above $50,000. Let me repeat that. You do not pay $1 up front for your tertiary degree until your income is above $50,000. And what is more, and the Minister for Education has pointed this out repeatedly in this House and in the press and at every opportunity, that even when you had paid back as a student your higher education fees through HECS and HELP, you have only contributed 40% of the cost of your higher education. 60% of the cost of your higher education is picked up by the taxpayer. So that is an important point, that even when you have paid back your HECS and your HELP, you have only paid back 40% of your degree, the cost of your degree. And as has also been pointed out, people who undertake a university degree, on average, earn 75% more over their working lifetime than those who don't get the benefit of a university degree. It accounts to about $1 million. $1 million extra in income earned by those who have a university degree as opposed to those who don't. Now, Mr Deputy Speaker, what these reforms are about are not just boosting the quantity of students who are able to get a good education, not just about boosting choice and helping those in the regions to get the best education, but it is also about excellence. Because when we look at the world rankings of universities, Australia has 5 in the top 100 and not 1 in the top 30. And we as a country put great emphasis on excellence in everything we do, and in most endeavours we will be in the top 30 of the world, but not in higher education. So what these reforms are designed to do, Mr Deputy Speaker, is to give the universities the flexibility and to empower them to take extra money and reinvest it in the classroom, to reinvest it in the best quality teachers, to reinvest it in the best possible infrastructure, and to reinvest it in the best possible technology, and to compete against other universities, particularly in our region, which are receiving more funding. Now, Mr Deputy Speaker, I don't want you to take my word for the fact that this is a good package of measures. I want to read some of the third-party endorsements. The Regional Universities Network said after the budget, "We welcome the announcement in the budget of an ambitious program of reform for higher education which recognises the importance of the sector to Australia. The Treasurer and Minister are to be congratulated for highlighting the important role universities play in Australia's future." What about the University of Adelaide's Vice-Chancellor, probably well known to the member for Hindmarsh? The federal budget has outlined massive and much-needed reform to the higher education sector. What about Professor Ed Byrne, the Vice-Chancellor of Monash University, a university I was proud to attend? He said, "The approach in the budget lays out a series of steps for an ambitious deregulation of the sector. The future of universities will be more in their own hands than ever before." Mr Deputy Speaker, they are very powerful words. They are very, very powerful words. And they are testimonies, as the member for Riverina has pointed out, they are testimonies of the significance of the budget reforms that we have put in place. Now, Mr Deputy Speaker, it wouldn't be a speech in response to Labor's MPI unless we quoted the member for Fraser. Unless we quoted the Shadow Assistant Treasurer. And I'm quoting from Imagining Australia. I'm not imagining Australia, I'm quoting from Imagining Australia. I am not imagining this. This is from his book, Imagining Australia. I bet you he wishes he was imagining this. This is what the member for Fraser, the Shadow Assistant Treasurer, said. Australian universities should be free to set student fees according to the market value of their degrees. A deregulated or market-based HECS will make the student contribution system fairer because the fees students pay will more closely approximate the value they receive through future earnings. Mr Deputy Speaker, I couldn't have said it better myself. In fact, Mr Deputy Speaker, the member for Fraser should have been the first speaker on our side. The member for Fraser should have been here.
Well, you were the second.
This MPI is a load of rubbish. It's not even believed in by those opposite.
Order.
We
The
have the
Honourable
better
Parliamentary
policies
Secretary's
for
time has
higher
expired.
education. And
Members' time has expired.